Hi, everybody. I'm Ron, and I'm here with Diana Motta, and she is a Kabbalistic astrologer and a fine artist. And just wanted to, like chat a little bit with you, Diana, and just, pick your brain a little and ask you some questions about Kabbalah, spirituality, and your work. So I just wanted to say welcome. And also, can you just say, like based on what I just shared, can you say a little bit more about yourself? Anything you want to share about yourself?
Right. Hi, Ron. Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Well, I
Yes.
have so much stuff to talk about myself. First of all, I'm an artist, so I've been working in different mediums, as a painter, painting, drawing, collage, video, art, also as an actress. So I,
Very nice.
I love every kind of art expression. So I use my creativity to uh, reveal light. Let's put it like that. And I always been an artist ever uh, before I started Kabbalah. And as my work as a professional astrologer, also one of the reasons that I started to study Kabbalah was because I was already interested in astrology before I came here.
Mhm.
So, but of course, I mean, I learned a lot throughout all these years that I've been here. But yeah, I've been working like that.
Cool. Could you say a little bit more about when you say like reveal more light? What do you mean by that?
Reveal light through my art. Well, first of all, I don't think I chose to be an artist. I think it's not a choice, I couldn't do anything else. I am an artist. There's not even an option of not being an artist. So
Mhm.
when I channel my creativity, I'm revealing light. I'm putting like it's a little bit of a storytelling, with the all the emotional outlet that colors and gestures, can bring to people.
Mhm.
So also, there's something very interesting that Michael Berg said once that I never forget, that the light loves new things. So when we create new things, we're channeling the light, and the light is happy. So when I'm painting something like this painting that is behind me, it's something that never existed before. I created.
Yeah,
So I hope that the light is happy with me creating something new.
I love that. I
Hmm.
didn't hear that before, but that's really great. That's a really great concept and mindset, like creating new things, right? Um,
Exactly. And can I
yeah.
say just something else that Michael
Yeah.
shared in the Rosh Hashanah? I think it was 2 or 3 years ago in the Rosh
Mhm.
Hashanah lecture. Um, that God, like the angels try to convince God not to create a world because human beings, would mess things up, as we know. So they try to convince God not to create us and not to create a world where we would live.
Yeah.
But God made a decision. He made a decision to create.
Yeah.
So that also stayed in my mind very, very deeply, because every time that I start an artwork, every time that I start a painting, every time that I start a drawing, every time I start, a collage or whatever that is creative, it's a decision that I'm making to create.
Hmm.
We need to make a decision to create because God decided, I am going to create human beings. I am going to create this world where the humans beings live. He made a conscious choice, and it's about creation, right? He was creating. God is the ultimate artist, right? The first
Right. Yeah.
artist. He created us, and he made
Oh,
a
that's
he
so
made a
cool.
conscious decision to do that. So
Yeah.
to be creative is to actively, proactively decide to create things. That's
Yeah.
what God did. That's why we're here.
Mm.
Because he could have said, "Okay, I'm not going to do anything, so whatever." But no, he
Yeah.
made a decision. No, I want to create.
Yeah. Love
Yeah.
that. So could you tell me a little bit about how you ended up in the path of Kabbalah? How did you end up doing Kabbalah?
Okay. There's a very deep there's a very deep explanation for this, but it's very simple. I'm a very simple person in the way I'm going to explain this, but it's deep. Well, first of all, I was, interested in astrology ever since I remember as a myself as a human being. I thought there was something else. I couldn't in my mind. I was a child, but it didn't make sense to me that we were here as human beings and everything that exists, nature, and there was not a higher force. To me, that would be so weird. That wouldn't be like a higher force that would explain how, crazy things are, how human beings exist. I mean, that's so weird to me. It would be very weird to me that it wouldn't be anything else, higher than us. So astrology was something that I was always interested about before I started studying Kabbalah. So I would go to the bookstores. By then, there was no internet. When I was a child, there was no internet. So I would go to the bookstores, and read all the astrology books that ever existed in the bookstore, in the library. So I was self-taught, right? I was very interested. I was very interested in how in human behavior. So I wanted to to understand how human would behave. So astrology would be one of the sources that I had to make sense of why human beings are the way they are. And I was also interested in mysticism. I used to do yoga since I was very young, maybe younger than most of my friends that were interested in other things. I was interested in trying to understand myself and what the soul is. So I was like doing yoga, doing meditation. I was very young. Maybe I was like 14 or 15, something that maybe most of the people at my age was not interested in yet. And I was, like reading things about metaphysics, energy, all this kind of stuff. And then I heard about Kabbalah. I have never heard about Kabbalah before. And maybe that was, the time when Madonna was studying Kabbalah, and I haven't heard about Kabbalah before. I didn't even know what that was. And I said, let me see what that is. It's mystical. I'm already, interested in everything that is mystical and deep, not only spiritual things, but also philosophy. I always loved very deep philosophers, Heidegger, Nietzsche, also writers, the Russians and everything that was very deep. So I was very interested in deep things ever since I was a kid. And then when I got to learn that Kabbalah was a mystical, teaching that had astrology, was like, of course I'm gonna like Kabbalah, because I already love everything that is mystical and metaphysical and astrology. So when I heard that, I said, okay, I'm gonna have to learn to know what that is. And then ever since I stepped my first foot on that door in the Kabbalah Center in New York, and I took the first class, I knew that I have found my path, and I never, thank God, I never left. It's been 16 years, and everything makes sense to me because I was already interested in all those things before knowing Kabbalah, and that everything made sense. Okay, I'm sorry. So let me tell you the story of why I was interested in deep, like metaphysical stuff, because I had an experience. I was not a psychic, never been a psychic, or saw things, that maybe some people do. I never saw energies and stuff like that. No, there was just internal feeling inside of me that knew there was something beyond. But when I was studying yoga and maybe Buddhism, Hinduism, I was also very interested in that. I told my grandmother that she wanted to give me a trip as a travel, to travel with me as a gift. I told her that I wanted to go to India because I wanted to know more about, yoga, Hinduism and all this stuff. And she gave me as a present a trip to India. And my brother wanted to come along, and he wanted to go to the beach. He said, okay, let's go to Thailand also. So we went to Thailand, Nepal, and India, mostly because I chose to be in those places because of the spirituality that they have there, because I was already drawn to that. So when we were in Thailand, right, that was the last place that we went in Thailand. We were staying in a hotel by the beach, and I was meditating by the rocks, in front of the ocean. And I had a premonition. I had a premonition of the tsunami at that time. Yes. So I felt like the ocean was pulling me, and I felt a very strong energy, very, very, very frightening, very strong. Of course, I didn't know what that was. I never felt anything like that ever before. And then I was holding matches. I know that's the crazy part of the story. Very crazy, I know. I was holding a match, and the match lit in my hand by itself. I didn't do anything, lit in my hand. And I got very scared, right? I got very, very scared. And then, just to make the long story short, my brother said, guys, let's extend this trip and spend Christmas here in Thailand because we're about to leave on the 23rd of December. And I said, no, we're not extending the trip. We're leaving. We're not staying here any longer. We're just leaving. I had no idea why I said that. I had no
Yeah.
idea what that meant. I didn't know. I just knew it was very frightening and very scary. And I didn't actually discuss this with them. I just said, no, we're not staying, we're leaving. So we left on the 23rd, and I believe that the tsunami was on the 25th, 26th of December. So 2 days after we got back to Brazil,
Uh-huh.
the tsunami happened, and the hotel that we were was completely destroyed.
Oh my
And
God.
then I connected the dots and I understood that I had a premonition. So that was my first, awakening of
Yeah.
understanding that there was a higher force and the universe was talking to me. And this idea of premonition and knowing the future, of reading the signs, of getting messages and understanding that everything's already planned and everything, the light sees the bigger picture and sees, the future. I understood everything because
Yeah.
I've been through this experience, and that was the first one, and that I've been through many others, but this one was the first one that I had, that I understood there was a higher force that was talking to me, that I got messages and I saw that, and also I questioned myself, why was I was the person that chose to be there.
Yeah.
I took my whole family to that place, and we were taking up, yeah, it was very risky, but
Yeah.
then I said, okay.
Hmm.
Okay, so that was the first thing. So
Yeah. Incredible. Wow. What an incredible story. Um, can you say a little bit about, because you were talking about your astrology interests, right? And then so you dived deeper into specifically Kabbalistic astrology. And I know you've been featured in Harper's Bazaar and other publications. So could you say, like what's your experience like or how's it been so far, um, really focusing on Kabbalistic astrology?
Right. Well, it is Kabbalistic astrology because Kabbalah is my core, right? So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be anything else. It had to be Kabbalistic. Yes, I started writing for Harper's Bazaar during the pandemic because there was an opening, in people. People were
Mhm.
trying to make sense of all the craziness that was happening. So there was a big opening for spirituality at that time. So I started writing about spirituality and I started writing about Kabbalah to them because people were very open to this subjects by then when the pandemic started. And yeah, so I've been doing that with them. I think it's been 3-4 years now, and I'm very glad, to have like Liana, very popular um, media outlet in order to share the knowledge that we learn in Kabbalah, because Kabbalah could be a little bit niche.
Yep.
So just having a very popular, magazine and digital magazine that would uh, share these thoughts. It's very, very nice. I'm very, very glad that I can do that. And by now I'm doing like horoscopes, like monthly horoscopes. It didn't start like that, but that's what I'm doing right now.
Hmm.
Just by having a chance, to spread the word, and spread spirituality to people in a very popular uh, outlet. It's a huge blessing, Zanara. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying, I'm a very kind of cool person, I'm not like
You are
religious
a
or
cool
anything like
person.
that. I think so. I'm not religious, I'm not religious, so I'm I'm an artist.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting to have this balance, talking about something that is very deep
Yeah.
and very powerful in a way that people don't read it as religious or kind of crazy. So I am in this place. I believe I am in this place, in this bridge that finds the central column in this place of
Mm.
of talking about something that is very deep and powerful, and at the same time being a normal person.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And it's great that you have that platform, that you can reach a lot of people with, right?
Exactly.
So that's really
Hmm.
awesome.
Hmm.
Could you say more about, you said you're an artist, and yeah, I've been to your shows. I've seen your work. It's fabulous. And could you just say a little bit more about, what led you to that path and also what inspires you about it? What inspires
So
you as,
first of thank you. First of all, as I said, I nothing led me to this path. I was
okay.
born an artist, and I
Ah,
didn't discover I was an artist. I always knew because ever since I was very very young, I like to create. I like to draw. I like to not paint so much because paint would make a mess in my house. My mother didn't give me like a canvas and painting so I could do that. But mostly drawings. I started drawings and also building stuff. That was like the joy of my life is to be in my room doing these things. I could be for hours and hours and hours and hours just creating. So that's what I do today. My studio is continue doing
mhm.
that. That's always been the pleasure. That would be my happy place. That would be the place that I would be very like, focused and enjoying and be happy. I would be happy just creating things ever since I was a kid and not being bothered at all, just being by myself doing that. So I've
Yeah,
always been like that. I've always been an artist, not something that I chose. It chose me. I cannot do anything else.
yeah,
That's what I'm supposed to do. I know that. I have no
exactly.
doubts.
I wanted to, what was that?
I said I have no doubt about it. It's
Yeah,
always been like that. Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to mention was, like it chose you, the, the path, right? Like, yeah, I could say it chooses you versus you choose it, and that's how it's been, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Totally.
Very, very
I
cool.
know it because I feel also I learned in Kabbalah that one of the indications that we know that we're fulfilling our purpose and doing the things that we're supposed to do is that when we were a child, did we did
Hmm.
we were already engaged in those things. We were already like desiring those things. And in
Yeah,
my case, yes,
mm,
I've always been. So I
yeah,
know I know that that's something that belongs to my soul.
yeah. That's
Hmm.
really reassuring, um, to hear. It's like, personally for me too.
You're
And
an
my
artist too.
I am, yeah. So it's like I've
Yeah.
been since I was, since I was a child. So that's what I mean by it's very reassuring to hear. So pretty awesome. So one last question. Um, like what kind of advice would you give someone new to spirituality?
It's a wild ride. In the
What?
beginning, you're going to see a lot of blessings and miracles, and you're going to be mesmerized, as it happens to everyone. But then the real work starts a little bit later on. But we're not supposed to say that, right? But it's magical. It's
Yeah,
magical. You're going to open up yourself to a new belief system that you never knew existed. Um, you're gonna see things upside down. Everything that you thought it was in a way, it's completely the opposite. It's insane. It's insane. It's insane. You're supposed to see miracles.
yeah,
So you're gonna change completely the way you know you view things in your life. It's amazing. But then there's work, right? Later on, after you see all these miracle stories, you're gonna start, you're gonna
yeah,
start to really like get down to the work, which is not that easy. But these miracle stories it's gonna hold you, and make sure that you will sustain and be able to cope with the difficult things that you might come across because it's part of the work, right? We're
yeah,
not angels, we're not saints, so we have things that we have to deal with. And this part might be not so comfortable, but all these other parts will will hold you strong.
awesome. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It takes work after all the magic that you see, right? It's like, oh man, I gotta work on this.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for joining me and sharing yourself. Really appreciate it. And you're awesome. And looking forward to spending more time with you while you're here in Chicago. Also, just looking forward to the work you produce, right? Like as you evolve as an artist. So Yay. Thank you.
Likewise, Ron. It's been a
All
pleasure to
right.
be with you. Thank you so much.